This is Get Real with Bob and Stacy, the show that helps you learn about the mortgage and real estate markets. Get the inside scoop from their expert list of guests and have some fun along the way. Now, here's Bob Gallagher and Stacy Alcorn.
Welcome back. You're listening to Get Real with Bob and Stacy. You're joining us for our Leaders and Legends segment, and our first guest today is Nico Brenner, CTO and co-founder of Praiseworthy. Welcome to the show, Nico.
Thank you, Bob. Very nice being here.
So I want to give a little bit of background on Nico. He is a Chilean tech entrepreneur based in San Francisco. He is a huge fan of positive reinforcement and building the habit of happiness. He oversees product development and growth at a company called Praiseworthy, which we're going to ask him some questions about in a few minutes. Praiseworthy is a company dedicated to helping businesses improve through individual feedback from customers. For the past 14 years, Nico has participated in more than a dozen tech startups, either as a founder, early hire, angel investor, advisor, or speaker. In 2013, Nico and Misa, who's his wife, former CEO of the Nom Nom food truck, realized that they had the same problem. As a consumer, Nico felt that there was no direct and easy way to tell companies about the experience he had with them. As a business owner, Misa felt that little feedback she was getting from her customers wasn't specific or individual enough to be useful. So with this pain in mind, they set out to build the easiest way possible for customers to give feedback directly to the people that they interact with at a store, as well as the easiest way possible for business owners and employees to receive the feedback and act on it. And they call it Praiseworthy. So you've grown it, I know, from 7 stores to over 1,300 locations in 47 states in the past couple of years. First of all, Nico, explain to us what Praiseworthy is. What is the business?
Sure. Thank you, Stacy, for that amazing intro. So Praiseworthy, the way it works is very simple. You basically imagine you're a customer. Mm-hmm. You go to a store, and then after you leave, you get a text on your phone with a link to a survey about the employee or the person that you talk to at the store. And it'll have their picture, you'll be able to evaluate them and even leave a comment that then will go directly to them. So they'll know whether they did a good job or if they need to improve on something.
Oh, that's cool. So the boss, for example, might get it, but the employee gets it as well?
Yes. So Actually they have a sort of newsfeed interface internally at the store through which they share all the feedback. So all the positive feedback goes out to everyone. So everyone at the store will be able to see when basically you get praised by your customers. And then if it's a negative feedback, it will be private for you and your manager so you can address it directly.
So how does the consumer see everybody else's feedback?
The consumer only sees the feedback they send.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
So the rest of the store's employees see everything, or all the positive stuff.
Yeah, so it's basically private for the business. It's not a public review system.
Huh. Yeah. Okay. Well, it's interesting because it kind of is similar. So often I get receipts at like Dunkin' Donuts and stores, and on the receipt it says, go do this online survey and you'll get a free donut, for example. And occasionally, when I want to go leave feedback, I put it aside and I'm like, I'll do it later, and I never end up going on and doing it. So this sends you a text. Is it right after the event, like right after you visit the store?
It's within 24 hours. It'll depend on sort of like the integration that we have set up with the company, but it's pretty immediate. So, and it's so interesting that you mentioned that about the receipt, because that's what one of the things we noticed when we were starting and growing our business. And we started asking around about the response rates on the receipts, right? And then we found out that only between 1% and 5% of people will ever leave feedback that way, even though they're getting an incentive.
Right.
And through text, it's so easy and it's so kind of like right there that we get response rates of 30% on average.
That's what I was going to ask. Like, what is the response rate? And it seems like people are more likely to respond if it's bad. Is that true?
You know what? That's exactly what we thought when we started this. We thought we're going to get a lot of negative feedback. But, and to your point, actually, people who leave negative feedback are definitely more motivated to do so. So they are the people that respond the fastest. I can tell you that.
Yes, interesting.
But, sorry.
No, I was just saying that's really interesting. So at least, so you're saying 30% roughly will leave feedback, but the ones that are responding the fastest are the ones that are usually upset about something.
Exactly. However, out of the whole feedback that we receive, all the feedback, 95% of it is positive, and only 5% is negative.
Wow.
Well, it's interesting. Even with the negative, I interviewed a gentleman who was the founder of a company called Dining In, which just sold to Grubhub recently. So he built this massive empire because of a really bad experience ordering takeout. So he got out of college. He ordered takeout food. It took like 2 hours. He called to ask where his order was. The people were rude. He's like... So he ended up building a multi-million-dollar business because he had a bad customer experience. But what he was saying is that in the 28 years that he built Dining In, the most important feedback he ever got was the negative. He's like, when somebody said something negative about my business, I took it more seriously than even the data of my company, because data doesn't tell you everything, but an angry customer and probably a happy customer will as well.
That is very true, Stacey. In fact, a lot of business owners ask us for more negative feedback because most customers are actually happy with the service they got.
Right.
The problem with this, though, and even though negative feedback is very, very useful to be able to see where you need to improve, we tend to discard positive feedback. And what happens is most of the systems out there receive the feedback, then in most of them, the employee responsible for the feedback won't even be able to see the feedback. But even if they're able to, they're never kind of like praised on it, And so through Praiseworthy, what we've been trying to do now is use this 95% positive feedback to be able to improve the businesses that use Praiseworthy.
Right.
And the way we're doing that is we're allowing the employees to share their feedback with each other and praise each other and comment on the feedback so that they're positively reinforced on the things that they're actually doing well.
Right.
And this has had a tremendous impact on these businesses. So one of the things is that the employees feel more purpose because they feel recognized at work. They feel that they're actually doing a good job. If you think about the day-to-day life of someone that works at a store, most of the day they're just like waiting for customers, or if they have a high foot traffic, they're talking to customers. They're mostly doing a good job. They're selling. And then all of a sudden, a tough customer comes in, and then they have a hard time talking to them. Maybe they'll actually make a mistake. And then their manager will walk by, will see this, and then afterwards they'll get kind of like reprimanded. They'll get a pep talk on like their interaction.
Right.
And that's all the feedback they get. They don't get praised. Like they don't get told, hey, you did wrong with that one customer, but great job on those 100 other customers that you talked to today.
That's so interesting.
So that's what we're trying to save.
So are all of your customers that you have now in the 1,300 locations, are they basically retail locations? Because I see value in it. Like I own 22 real estate offices. Bob has a big mortgage empire. It seems like it could apply to any business.
It can apply to any business. Right now, like you said, Stacey, most of our clients are retail stores, physical stores, but this can apply to, any interaction. It can apply to email. It can apply to phone calls. It can apply to call centers, basically anywhere where there's a one-to-one interaction.
Okay, that's great. So I know that in building your business, you talk about the importance of building a habit of happiness. What is that all about?
Thank you for asking me about that. That's something that I'm actually very passionate about. So for most of my life, I thought that happiness was this kind of like thing that you would achieve at some point, that you would kind of like, it was a point in my life that I would get to. And then after that, I was going to be happy thereafter, right? So like it was like, goal achieved. And then that was going to be it. And after chasing it for a long time and realizing that it was like a very elusive thing to achieve, that it would never stay, right? I realized that I was doing the wrong thing. And in fact, it happened to me after starting my fourth company, and I wasn't happy with where it was going. And I felt, why am I doing this? Why am I feeling like this if I'm doing the things that I'm supposed to like doing? I realized that happiness wasn't about achieving anything, but it was like this feeling that I needed to cultivate. I started doing a lot of research, and I got really lucky because in the last, I think, 5 to 10 years, there's been this sort of informal movement in the world towards happiness. There's been a lot of research, a lot of studies. And for example, last year, Harvard published a study they conducted for 75 years, during which time they followed a class of Harvard students, right? And then their number one conclusion after the 75-year study is that happiness is love. And it's mainly love through connecting with other people.
Right? Yeah, absolutely.
And so that's really powerful. And I started focusing on that, right? And building the habit of basically trying to connect with other people, of having meaningful conversations. And throughout this journey, I also discovered that another definition for happiness is being present. So it's about not thinking what you're going to be doing tomorrow, what you're going to even be doing today in 5 minutes. It's about kind of like paying attention to the now. And it sounds very simple, but it's super hard.
It's really hard.
Especially for Stacy.
Really,
yes.
Really and so it's a habit that you need to cultivate. It's something that you need to be constantly aware of, and it's a big challenge. And that has kind of like become my sort of like one of my biggest challenges, how to, create the habit of happiness.
I think half of it, though, you talk about the importance of presence and, like, first of all, happiness is engaging with other people, but also presence. And we live in a world, like, literally, as you're talking, I'm on my phone looking up Praiseworthy and seeing all the stuff that your site does while I'm listening. But we live in a world that it's like there's a million things happening right in front of us at the same time. So it's really hard to just be present.
Exactly. We're constantly bombarded with a ton of things, right? And it's very hard to actively be present. And that's why there's been this big push for example, meditation. Because meditation, I remember I went to this workshop that had nothing really to do with meditation, but the guy teaching it, he said, the problem with meditation right now is that it's portrayed as relaxing. You always see these pictures of people by the beach, or wherever, very nice, kind of like sort of like a sunset as a background, and you think these people are kind of like completely relaxed. But in fact, meditating is about exercising being present. It's about kind of like removing the thought and the worries off of your head. And it's super hard. It's hard work. It's not relaxing at all.
Right. Absolutely.
And I guess it's sort of like easier to just like, relax and not try to do it.
Right. So tell us about, I know you've been building this business with your wife. What is it like? Like, first of all, how big is the team at Praiseworthy? how often are you and your wife literally working together, and how do you do that without getting divorced?
It's a good question.
Yeah, definitely a good question. So we're 5 people at Praiseworthy. We're a very lean team.
Yep.
But we get a lot done for sure. And one of the things that we do is we try to cultivate happiness at work because I believe it's a good business strategy. So basically, if everyone's happy, they'll be motivated with work, and they'll work better. And it's not about exploiting people, but I genuinely care about people being happy. If they're not happy because they have a personal issue at home, for example, or they fought with their significant other or something, they had a bad argument or a bad day, then I want them to be able to recover from that and be there for them. And that's kind of like what we discovered with Misa, my wife and co-founder, is that we really have to put a big effort into being there for each other and making sure the other one is happy, and when we're able to do that, we do great. The other thing we realize is exactly what we were talking about before, that how important being present is.
Right.
And through this, we realized that most of the times when we had an argument had nothing to do with what we were saying in the argument, really.
Right.
But it was because we were hungry, we were sleepy, or we were in pain.
Right.
And so now, whenever we start getting into an argument, we say, kind of like, wait, stop.
Right.
Are you hungry?
That's funny.
Do you not sleep well last night?
Wow.
And that has saved us 90% of our fights.
Wow. That's awesome stuff. So we only have a couple seconds left. So where can anybody listening in that might own a business, a retail location that wants to engage with Praiseworthy so that they can improve their business, where do they find you?
Praiseworthy.co.
Okay. Praiseworthy.co. And
Excellent.
You'll change your business. Thank you for joining us today, Nico.
Thanks, Nico.
Thank you, Stacy. Thank you, Bob, so much for having me.
You're welcome. We're going to take a quick commercial break. We'll be back with more Get Real after this.